He said he'd help me find someone who'd actually see me, love me, want me. But every time another guy smiled my way, he changed. The teasing stopped, the laughter turned sharp, and the boy who swore he was just helping started looking at me like I was his to lose. This is, he said, he'd help me get a boyfriend, then got jealous. Every time someone flirted with me, a BL webtoon love story about friendship, jealousy, and the line between pretending and wanting. It started the way a lot of stupid stories do, with a crush, the kind that sneaks up on you when you least expect it, when the world is quiet, when friendship starts to blur into something you can't name. I was 21, awkward, clumsy, a disaster when it came to emotions. And Minwoo, my best friend, was everything I wasn't. He was loud, confident, effortlessly magnetic. The kind of guy who walked into a room and made everyone notice. Not because he tried, but because he couldn't help it. He laughed too loudly, teased too easily, and had a smile that made you forget what you were saying mid-sentence. To me, he was home and danger all at once. We met in university during a literature class neither of us wanted to take. I was sitting in the back pretending to read when a voice beside me whispered, "You know the professor's been talking for 10 minutes about the wrong poem, right?" I looked up, and there he was, Minwoo. Eyes that sparkled with mischief, lips curved into a grin that said, "I get away with everything." That was the first time I laughed in that class. The first time I noticed the way someone's energy could fill a room. From then on, we were inseparable. Coffee between classes, late-night study sessions that turned into dumb debates about movies, him teasing me for my playlists, me pretending I didn't like how close he sat when he leaned over to look at my screen. I didn't think much of it then. He was my best friend. That was all. Until the day he asked casually, "Hey, Ji-hoon, do you even like anyone?" The question hit harder than it should have. My brain stuttered. My heart didn't. I wanted to say, "Yeah, you." But all that came out was a weak, "Not really." He grinned. "We'll have to fix that." The next day, he made a plan. Operation Get Ji-hoon a Boyfriend. He even wrote it on the whiteboard in his dorm room, with bullet points and a schedule. I laughed. "You're insane." He smirked. "I'm efficient." He started giving me flirting lessons, like it was a sport. How to make eye contact, how to smile without looking nervous, how to text without sounding like a robot. It was ridiculous, but every time he leaned closer to adjust my posture, or tapped my chin to fix my confidence, my pulse betrayed me. Whisper tone. Because he didn't realize what it did to me. The way his fingers lingered, the way his voice softened when he said, "You're actually kind of cute when you're shy." He thought he was teaching me how to fall for someone else. He didn't know he was making me fall for him. It happened gradually. After a few weeks, I finally worked up the courage to talk to someone, a senior from the photography club. He was sweet, quiet, and asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime. I said yes. When I told Minwoo, expecting a proud grin, his face changed. "Oh," he said too casually, "that's nice." Then he changed the subject. Then he skipped movie night. Then he started avoiding eye contact altogether. At first, I thought I'd done something wrong, until I caught him glaring, actually glaring, at the guy who texted me during class. Later that night, he asked, "So, you really like him?" I shrugged. "Maybe." "I don't know yet." He scoffed. "He's not your type." I frowned. "You don't even know my type." And then he looked straight at me, eyes darker than I'd ever seen. "Yeah, I do." Dramatic pause. He didn't say what he meant, and I didn't dare ask. But that night, when I got home, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Things got strange after that. Every time I mentioned the senior, Minwoo changed the topic. If I got a text, he'd peek at my phone, pretending to joke. Wow, you're really into this guy, huh? If someone complimented me at a party, he'd suddenly pull me aside, muttering something about those guys being sketchy. And once, just once, when a classmate flirted a little too openly, Minwoo's hand found my wrist under the table, firm, possessive. When I looked up, he wasn't smiling anymore. Don't look at him like that, he whispered. Whisper tone. I didn't know if I should be scared or thrilled. Weeks passed. My boyfriend lessons stopped. He no longer joked about setting me up. Instead, we drifted into this tense rhythm. Too close to be just friends. Too scared to admit we weren't. One evening, it rained. The city lights blurred into streaks of color outside the cafe window. Minwoo sat across from me, tapping his fingers against his cup. You should cancel your date, he said suddenly. I blinked. What? Why? He's boring, I laughed. You've never even met him. I don't need to. You'll hate it. Minwoo, I sighed. Why are you like this lately? He didn't answer right away. He just looked at me, really looked. His voice dropped, quieter than I'd ever heard it. Because I hate watching you look for someone when I'm right here. Softly. And just like that, everything stopped. The air, the sound, the world. My heart forgot how to beat. I didn't know how to react. So I laughed, awkwardly, stupidly. You're kidding, right? He didn't. He just leaned back, eyes cold now. Yeah, sure, kidding. And that was the last time we talked for weeks. He stopped, texting first. Stopped coming to class on time. Started hanging out with other people, people who weren't me. Every time I saw him across campus, it felt like I was watching a stranger wear his face. But I couldn't blame him. After all, I was the coward who laughed when he finally told me the truth. It took a party to break the silence. Someone's birthday. Too many drinks. Too many people. I went because I heard Minwoo would be there. When I found him, he was leaning against the wall, casual, confident, exactly the way I remembered him before everything between us got complicated. A drink in his hand. Head tilted back in laughter. Someone else standing too close, someone taller, prettier, confident in the way people are when they don't have to earn attention. They just own it. The music pulsed in my chest. Colored lights flickered across his face, and for the first time, I felt what he must have felt watching me flirt with others. Softly. Jealousy. Raw. Bitter. Terrifyingly human. I froze by the door, clutching the edge of my cup like it was an anchor. He didn't see me at first. Or maybe he did and chose not to. Either way, it hurt. The way his smile looked so easy with someone who wasn't me. My heart thudded, heavy and uneven. It wasn't supposed to matter. We weren't dating. We weren't anything. And yet, when that stranger leaned in a little too close, hand brushing his arm, I felt something in my chest twist until it hurt to breathe. Dramatic pause. It wasn't just jealousy. It was loss. Because, for a second, it looked like I was already too late. I told myself to walk away, to be mature, to act like I didn't care. But my feet betrayed me, one step, then another, until I was standing just a few feet away. He noticed me then. The laughter faltered, caught mid-sound. His eyes, sharp and dark, met mine through the haze of lights and noise. Hey, I said, simple, small, useless. The word barely made it over the thump of the bass, but somehow he heard it. His smile flickered. Not the easy, charming grin everyone else got. This one was tight. Careful. Ji-hoon. He said my name like it burned. The other guy turned, curious. Oh, hey, you're his friend, right? Friend. The word hit harder than I expected. It was meant to be casual, but it felt like a line being drawn, one I didn't know how to cross. Yeah, I managed, forcing a smile. I'm his friend. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The silence between us buzzed louder than the music. Then Minwoo cleared his throat and said, "This is Seijin. We were just talking about the new internship program." I nodded. Right. Sounds fun. But the way Seijin leaned closer, laughing at something Minwoo whispered, the way Minwoo didn't step back, it made something inside me snap. I wasn't angry at Seijin. He didn't know. It wasn't his fault that I'd been stupid enough to fall for someone who might never be mine. Still, I couldn't stand there and watch. So I muttered something, an excuse maybe, I don't even remember, and turned away. Outside, the air was cooler. The rain had started again, a fine drizzle that soaked through my shirt in seconds. I didn't care. The city blurred into streaks of color, car headlights, neon signs, the shimmer of water on pavement. I just walked. No umbrella, no destination. Just the quiet rhythm of my own breathing and the dull ache that sat somewhere between my ribs. Softly, I told myself this was what I wanted, for him to move on, to stop making me feel things I shouldn't. But every time I replayed his smile, the one he gave Seijin, the ache deepened. Half an hour later, I reached my dorm. I peeled off my wet jacket, tossed it aside, and sank to the floor. My phone buzzed on the desk. Where did you go? I stared at the screen, water dripping from my hair. I didn't reply. A minute later, Minwoo, are you home? Then, Jihoon, answer me. I typed, I'm fine, don't worry about it. Then deleted it. Because it wasn't true. I wasn't fine, and he always worried. The knock came 10 minutes later, hard, urgent. When I opened the door, he was standing there, completely drenched, breathing hard like he'd run the whole way. You really walked home in this? He snapped. Are you insane? I blinked, startled. You followed me. He scowled. Of course I did. You just disappeared. I frowned. Why do you care, Minwoo? Go back to your new friend. His jaw tightened. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said, brushing past him. You looked happy. I didn't want to ruin it. He grabbed my wrist, stopping me. His fingers were cold, but his grip was firm. Don't do that, he said quietly. Don't pretend you don't care. I don't, I lied. He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his wet hair. God, you drive me crazy. Then stop following me, I snapped. Stop acting like I'm yours or something. The words echoed in the small dorm hallway. We both froze, softly. He looked at me for a long time. Then, in a voice barely louder than the rain outside, he said, Maybe I act like you're mine because I want you to be. The world tilted. The lights, the noise, everything blurred except his face. I stared at him, unable to breathe. Minwoo, don't... No, he interrupted. You don't get to tell me not to. Not after all this time. Not after watching you look at everyone but me. His voice cracked, rough around the edges. You think I didn't notice? Every time someone flirted with you, every time you smiled at someone else, I wanted to pull them away. I wanted to be the one you looked at like that. Then why didn't you say anything? I whispered. He laughed, bitter, tired. Because you were my best friend. Because I thought I'd lose you if I did. For a moment, the hallway was silent except for the steady rhythm of the rain. He was still holding my wrist, thumb brushing lightly against my pulse. I didn't pull away. Tell me to stop, he said quietly. If you don't want this, tell me. But I didn't. Because despite the confusion, the fear, the million questions clawing at the back of my mind, I didn't want him to stop. So I stepped closer. Close enough to feel the warmth beneath the rain-soaked clothes, close enough to see the hesitation flicker in his eyes. And then he kissed me. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't slow or practiced or gentle. It was desperate, a collision of everything unsaid. The first brush of his lips felt like lightning, sharp, wild. And then suddenly, everything inside me went quiet. No noise, no fear. Just the realization that he, was what I'd been searching for without even knowing it. He pulled back just enough to whisper, "See, you don't need anyone else." I laughed softly, breathless. "You're so full of yourself." He smiled, but his eyes were trembling. "Maybe, but at least now you know." We didn't talk much after that. He sat on the edge of my bed, dripping rainwater onto the floor. I handed him a towel, pretending not to notice how my hand still shook. The silence between us was heavy, but not unbearable anymore. Finally, he said, "I don't know what happens next." "Neither do I admitted. "But I guess we figure it out." He nodded. And then, for the first time in weeks, he smiled. The real one. The one that always made me feel like the world wasn't such a bad place after all. Later that night, after he left, I sat by the window watching the rain. It felt different now, calmer. I realized something. Jealousy wasn't just about wanting to be chosen. It was about fear. Fear of losing something you never had the courage to claim. And love, real love, wasn't about possession. It was about honesty, the kind that terrifies you, the kind that makes you admit things you'd rather bury. He said he'd help me get a boyfriend. He just didn't realize he'd become the only one I wanted. If you've ever fallen for your best friend, you know what this feels like. That quiet storm between what if and too late. Comment below. Was Minwoo's jealousy selfish, or was it love in disguise? And don't forget to subscribe for more BL webtoon stories, yaoi manhwa dramas, and romance breakdowns. Check the description for full story links and recommendations. The guy beside him looked between us, curious. Minwoo said quickly, "This is my friend." Friend. The word stung more than it should have. I forced a smile. "Right. Friend." I don't remember leaving. Just the sound of the rain starting again outside. Just the weight in my chest that wouldn't go away. He came to my dorm that night, soaked, breathless. "You really walked home alone in that storm?" he snapped. "Are you insane?" I glared. "Why do you care? I'm just your friend, right?" He froze, and then something in him cracked. "I care because I can't stop thinking about you." His voice shook. His hands trembled. "You drive me crazy, Ji-hoon. You make me jealous, angry, happy, all at once. You ask why I stopped helping you find a boyfriend, because every time someone looks at you, I want to tear their eyes out." Silence. And then he stepped closer. Whisper tone. "Tell me I'm wrong." I didn't. I couldn't. So I kissed him. Or maybe he kissed me. All I remember is warmth and the taste of rain on his lips. It wasn't perfect. It was desperate, messy, real. The kind of kiss that feels like both a confession and a mistake. The next morning, things were different. He made me breakfast, eggs too salty, toast slightly burnt. We didn't talk about what happened. Not that day, not the next. But the space between us had changed. When he brushed my shoulder, it lingered. When I looked at him, I didn't look away. Sometimes, I caught him staring when he thought I wasn't watching. And sometimes, I let him. We weren't boyfriends, not yet. But maybe, finally, we were honest. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes it hides in small things, a teasing smile, a jealous glare, a storm-soaked confession. I used to think love meant certainty, but with Minwoo it meant chaos, growth, learning that sometimes the person helping you find love was the one you were meant to find all along. Softly, He said he'd help me get a boyfriend. He just didn't realize he'd become the only one I wanted. Gentle background music fades. So, what do you think? Was Minwoo's jealousy toxic or romantic? Comment your thoughts below. Heartbroken, sweet, or chaotic love? And don't forget to subscribe for more BL webtoon stories, yaoi manhwa breakdowns, and romantic drama scripts like this one. Check the description for full story links and BL recommendations. We'd known each other since high school. He was the troublemaker. I was the quiet one. Somehow, it worked. He talked. I listened. He dreamed big. I made sure he didn't forget to eat. By the time we hit college, people just assumed we were a package deal. Minwoo and Ji-hoon, the chaos and the calm. But somewhere along the way, I realized something dangerous. I didn't just like him. I wanted him. Not in a friendly, harmless way. In a way that made my chest ache every time he smiled at someone else. Of course, I never said a word. Why would I? He was straight, or so I thought. Then one night, he caught me staring. We were sitting in his apartment, eating instant noodles and watching some dating reality show. He glanced over and grinned. "You know," he said, "you'd be a great boyfriend." I choked on my noodles. "What? I'm serious," he laughed. "You cook, you're nice, you remember birthdays. If you weren't so bad at talking to people, someone would have snatched you up already." "Thanks," I muttered, really boosting my confidence here. He smirked. "Tell you what, I'll help you get a boyfriend." I blinked. "You'll—" "What?" "You heard me," he said, leaning back. "I'll be your dating coach." And that's how it started. One stupid promise, one even stupider plan. At first, it was fun. He made me practice pickup lines on him in the cafeteria. He'd lean close and say, "No, not like that. Look me in the eyes when you say it." I'd roll mine and mutter, "You're impossible." But my pulse would race anyway. He took me shopping for date clothes, picked out shirts that fit tighter than I was comfortable with. When I hesitated, he'd grin. "Trust me, you look good. You just don't know it yet." I thought he was joking. I thought that's all it was. Minwoo being his usual teasing self. But then something changed. The first time another guy actually asked me out, Minwoo's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Who is he?" he asked. "Just someone from class," I said. He nodded. "You're going?" "Yeah. I mean, it's just coffee." "Right, just coffee." That night, he didn't text me like he usually did. No goodnight memes, no voice notes, nothing. When I told him the next day that the date went fine, but there wasn't a spark, he looked relieved. "See," he said, smirking. "Told you, you've got high standards." I laughed it off, but something in his tone made my stomach twist. Weeks passed. He kept up the training, taking me to parties, giving me advice, pretending to scan the crowd for potential boyfriends. But lately, he'd started standing a little too close, touching me in ways that felt too careful to be casual. A hand brushing mine when he didn't need to. A look that lasted too long before he forced himself to glance away. One night, we went to a mutual friend's birthday. A guy there, tall, kind, with an easy smile, started talking to me. He was funny. He even asked for my number. I said yes. And that's when Minwoo changed. He didn't talk to me the rest of the night. Didn't even look my way. When I finally found him outside, smoking under a streetlight, his jaw was tight. "What's wrong with you?" I asked. "Nothing." "Minwoo." He turned, eyes sharp. "Why him?" I froze. "What? Why him?" he repeated. "You barely know the guy." I frowned. "That's the point of dating, isn't it? Getting to know someone," he scoffed. "You don't even like people like that." "People like what?" "Guys who flirt just to see if they can win." I stared at him. Since when do you care who I like? His voice softened. Since I started realizing I might be the one who doesn't want anyone else to have you. Whisper tone. The world tilted. He looked away, exhaling. Forget it. I shouldn't have said that. But I couldn't forget. After that, everything got complicated. He started pulling away, then pulling me closer again. Some days, he'd act like nothing had changed. Other days, he'd go quiet mid-conversation, his eyes flicking to my lips like he hated himself for it. And every time another guy so much as looked at me, his hand would find my shoulder, a silent, possessive touch. It was confusing, infuriating, and intoxicating. Because deep down, I didn't want him to stop. One night, we were walking home after another failed date. Mine, not his. It had rained earlier. The pavement shimmered under the streetlight. He asked softly, "Did you like him?" "No," I said. He talked about himself the whole time. He chuckled. "Sounds familiar." I nudged him. "You're not that bad." He smiled faintly. "You think I'm bad in other ways?" The air thickened. My throat went dry. Before I could answer, he said quietly, "You don't see it, do you?" "See what?" He stopped walking, turned to face me and said, "How hard it is for me to watch someone else try to make you smile." I blinked. "Minwoo." He laughed softly, shaking his head. "I was supposed to help you find love, and all I did was fall for you instead." Dramatic pause. The rain started again. He stepped closer, rain sliding down his hair, his hands trembling slightly. "I didn't plan this," he said. "I swear I didn't. You were supposed to be my friend Ji-hoon, my safe place. But then you'd laugh or look at me like I was the only one who ever understood you, and I—" He broke off, voice cracking. "I can't stand it when someone else touches you. I know that's selfish, but it's the truth." I swallowed hard. "Then why didn't you just say so?" "Because I didn't think I was allowed to want you." He stepped even closer, close enough that I could feel his breath against my skin. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. But I didn't. Instead, I reached up and brushed the wet hair from his forehead. "You're an idiot." "Yeah," he murmured. "You're idiot." Then he kissed me. It wasn't careful or practiced or pretty. It was years of friendship, of buried feelings, of pretending not to care, all crashing into one impossible moment. When he finally pulled away, he pressed his forehead to mine. "So what now?" I whispered. He smiled, small and real. "Now, I help you find a boyfriend." I laughed softly. "You volunteering for the job?" He grinned. "Already hired." After that night, things didn't magically get easy. We still argued, still got jealous, still messed up. But this time, there were no more unspoken things between us. He stopped pretending he was helping. I stopped pretending I didn't want him. We went from best friends to something terrifying and beautiful, something real. Sometimes he still teases me about that first promise. "I did say I'd help you get a boyfriend," he laughs. And I tell him, "You did. Guess your coaching worked a little too well." Because in the end, it wasn't about finding love. It was about realizing it had been there all along, just waiting for the courage to speak. Softly. Sometimes the person who teaches you how to love is the one you were meant to love all along. So, what did you feel watching this story unfold? Was it sweet, emotional, a little painful? Tell me in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more BL webtoon, yaoi romance, and friends to lovers manhwa stories like this one. And check the description for the full story link and more BL recommendations. Dramatic pause. Because love stories like these, they never really end.